In the far reaches of the galaxy, Super Earth's greatest defenders are fighting back against the Terminids and the automatons. We were winning. We were gaining our victory. But suddenly, from the deep places in space no man has traveled, our ancient enemy returned. The Illuminates. The despicable creatures of the void have returned, and they threatened Super Earth once more. We had little time to prepare for this, and as a result, our soldiers are limited. This is where you come in, fellow citizens. Join the Helldivers. Punch in your mother's credit card with the 3 numbers on the back to purchase your super credits and fight back against our enemies. Rise up, Super Earth. The war is calling your name. And the best choice you can make is to answer it. Helldivers 2 was one of the best games that was released this past year, and I have been addicted for the past months. It's an epic horde shooter with some of the coolest action and multiplayer in gaming today. The battles in this game are just so cinematic and epic. It's like an action movie. So with the new update that has come out of nowhere, people are hopping back into the game to see how the game has changed since its launch, or they're experiencing it for the first time with the new update. The Illuminates were highly anticipated to come into Helldivers 2 with their role in the first Helldivers being so significant. So how is the new update? How are the new weapons and vehicles playing into the main game? How are the Illuminates as a faction? What about the new maps? Is John Helldivers still alive? Well, let's just get started with the new vehicles. I love the new cars, and this is definitely a step up for transportation in the game that upgrades from the mech. I'm happy that we can get somewhere faster than 5 miles per hour now. However, the vehicles are a bit janky with their steering and control, and it would be nice if the camera followed the motion of the vehicle, but I guess it does add to the intensity and the cinematic feeling of the game to drive as fast as possible from the horde of whatever you're fighting while the boys fire back at the same time. Overall, they delivered with a new addition of vehicles. Next up, the new maps that were recently added are really good. I love the city map. It adds to the immersion and adds a feeling of dread as you imagine how people here fell before you arrived, and it almost feels as if Super Earth has been invaded and you are actually fighting to reclaim it. I also enjoy the urban feel of it, and I love how the buildings and environment crumble with the larger bombs that are detonated throughout each match. Also, it gives the game another feeling of intensity, almost like the Creek, where you feel as though something is going to pop out at any moment and you have to be ready for anything. And that feeling sometimes delivers and sometimes it doesn't, because the enemies in this game are kind of blind at times, and other times it feels like they can see through walls. The buildings also have a futuristic design as well as inoperable vehicles scattered about. It feels very suburban but futuristic, and the narrow alleys and streets add character to the lore of Helldivers. The city is an awesome addition to the collection of maps, and I hope that they do more by adding maybe interactable buildings where you could go inside and defend yourselves while defending an objective at the same time. Just an idea. But right now, as it stands, the maps are really good and integrated well with the cities. Now, onto the actual meat as to why you came here. The real question: how are the Illuminates? I mean, they're alright. No, I'm just kidding. Mostly.
What in the hell are you talking about?
I have some issues, but I like them overall. So first, let's get into the positives of why I like this update. The Illuminates are a great addition to the game. As an enemy faction, they fit right in with the other enemy legions. They're intimidating, wacky, very frightening when they get up close. It reminds me a lot of Call of Duty Zombies, where you can train them on you if you know how tracking works. But if you get cornered, God help you, because you are not getting out any other way. But the basic enemy type is a corrupted zombie type of runner, but not like the World War Z type of zombies, like the Days Gone types of zombies. Now, as far as main objectives go, they are about the same type of Helldiver missions. Run into the war zone, destroy some objectives where the enemies are coming out of, free the citizens, launch the nukes, raise the flag, that type of thing. Not much has changed in the base game since the launch as far as objectives go, and it's not a bad thing. The missions are simple enough to the point where they're not overly complicated in order to fill in time, but also loaded with enough objectives to make a fun and creative gameplay loop that is almost never the same. The ambushes and intensity of each mission happens out of nowhere almost every time, and it really does help keep you on your toes and not let your guard down ever. So back to the Illuminate. The basic enemies are decent enough to keep your head in the game, unlike the basic Terminids who take one shot to kill. Now the next units are a bit of a mixed bag. The next step up is the Overseers. These guys are mid-range units who will tank most of your shots if they're not aimed at the head. The Overseers will either be in the air shooting at a distance, or they'll be on the ground with a staff trying to get up close to you with a shield to protect their heads. They're not too hard to deal with as long as you keep the pressure on them, but if you get low on ammo and grenades, they can easily overwhelm you. Just keep your distance and keep pressure on them and you're good to go. Now the real challenge lies with the Harvesters. The Harvesters are these huge tripod aliens that will be able to withstand the strongest bombardment of bombs and eagle strikes. These things don't stop walking towards you and are the real danger of the Illuminate. If you see one approaching, all you can do is get ready for a long and hard fight and start running in the opposite direction. The main thing that can take them out is an orbital laser, but that's really it. So all that to say, the new faction is super fun to fight against and they are extremely cool in their design and lore. However, my main problem with this new faction is that they're too easy. I know each faction can be easy if you play your cards right, however this is not the case. Unless you are playing a Helldive or anything above impossible mode, you won't be having too much trouble with your squad. They are slow and easy to kill with little diversity in their ranks. They have just the 3 alien types that I just went over. The automatons have way more diversity and variation that makes each fight with them so unpredictable and challenging, with average troopers, hulks, marauders, raiders, scout striders, berserkers, and so on. Even the Terminids have more variety with stalkers, spewers, chargers, hive guards, bile titans. To be fair, with the new update they might be waiting to drop the full roster of enemies within the coming weeks, but still, when you release a new faction, I think it's expected to have a little more than 4 variations of enemies in your new faction. What about shielding types of enemies that protect them from incoming bombardments to a certain extent? How about more types of Overseers who will actually lay down cover fire for their zombies to get in closer while they hold you down behind a corner? These are just a few ideas that could help make this faction more interesting to fight. Oh, but I thought that you said they were cool. Yeah, I know what I said. Yes, they are a cool faction, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a great faction. I will be straight up honest with you. If they don't add more enemy variations to this faction, I can see myself getting bored with them very fast. They just need at least 2 or 3 more enemy types and they will be set for a faction that is as fun to fight as the other 2. But when the update comes out and a few days later I already want to go back to my automatons and Terminids, you know the update is a bit lackluster. Once again, not a bad update, it just needs more variety to really be a great update. But in conclusion, like I said, the update is just good. It's not bad, it's not great, but it is nice and fun, and that's okay. The community and player base almost tripled in the past few days to play this new update, and it shows people still love this game, and I think this was the little push that Helldivers needed to get back in the spotlight where it was starting to shine away. Not to say this game is dying, but it was at risk of becoming a bit repetitive for some people. I would say hop back onto this game and see for yourselves what all the hype is about. It's a good time, and the game is always epic enough to enjoy any day of the year. Get your friends back together and have a blast with the game once again if you decide to take a break from it. Rejoin the fight, Helldiver. The citizens of Super Earth depend on you.